The city of Chicago has hosted NASCAR numerous times over the series' illustrious history, starting all the way back with events at Soldier Field in the 1950s. The series then moved to Chicago Motor Speedway and Chicago Land Speedway, where of course we were racing next year. But a couple of years ago, a fantastic new venue opened in Grant Park. The first NASCAR Cup Series street race coming to you from the streets of Chicago. And this wonderful venue plays host to the BSR Grid Network Truck Series tonight for the first time as we enter the home stretch before the series playoffs begin. Welcome to the 988 Suicide Awareness GP, live on JCTV. I am Olivia Hayward, as always, bringing you the action from tonight's race. And after an eventful night out last time at Richmond, which I unfortunately was not able to attend, here is a look at the current point situation with 3 rounds and 4 races to go until we reach the playoff cutoff. Stephen Maggio was able to punch his name with a win on his first start of the season. In fact, will not be playoff eligible, I believe, from that, which means that both of the wildcard spots are still available if a driver outside of, I believe, the top 10 can pick up a win. They could launch themselves as a wildcard into the playoff picture. We'll just have a look at what the remainder of the schedule entails. Of course, tonight, 50 laps on the streets of Chicago. Then next week, we do short track racing once again with 200 laps at the new and repaved North Wilkesboro Speedway. And then a double header at Talladega will be our regular season finale. 2 final chances to book yourself a spot in the playoff rounds. Of course, we have Homestead, New Hampshire, and we are heading over to Chicagoland. In fact, not far away, just in Joliet, for the round of 10 finale. And then Charlotte, Martinsville, and now departed Auto Club Speedway. Of course, this track fortunately joined the ranks after this year of retired NASCAR venues. And then our championship round at another retired venue, but for slightly different reasons. The 2008 Scan, the old bumpy version of Atlanta Motor Speedway, will be where we crown a champion. As we focus back onto tonight, let's have a look at our practice chart with just 2.5 minutes left before we head over into our qualifying session. And it is the number 17 of Tristan Maher who leads the way by more than half a second. Only Justin Rohr able to join him in the 129s. Of course, street racing requires a lot of the same skills as a regular road course, but my oh my, it drives so much differently. You've got to be perfect around a street, so you've got to be alert as well, of course, to be able to make it through the 50 laps that we have on offer today. The same length as the Xfinity races here over the last couple of years. So, while not the longest races on the calendar, definitely a marathon affair in terms of mental endurance. We'll follow Justin Rohr through for the final lap of practice. And you can see down at turn 1, braking very early, tucking it in. A little bit of contact, actually, on the apex of turn number 1. And in fact, Justin Rohr will not continue on this lap. Want to start from Levi Poland instead. See, there's the pit exit, trying an awkward feed out. We are projecting 1 stop here today. Of course, similar race length target as other road courses we've had this season, around about 75 minutes of racing. But with the naturally slower speeds around a street course compared to a track like Portland, it leads to a lower fuel burn. So in a 50-lap race, we can expect fuel to go around about 30 laps on a tank. You see that chute section through turns 3, 4, and 5. Very so precise on the opening kink there. Get it fed through, but keep the truck stable so you continue to get on the brakes for the 90-degree right-hander. A lot of those at this track. Only 3 lefts in the 12 corners here. And then the bumpy fountain section as we come over the bridge. You see the entry very tricky, especially close to the inside wall. The bumps very brutal through here. It feeds you back out, and then a couple more corners just to get to the end of the lap. But that is going to be the end of our practice session. I hope the drivers have had plenty of time to acclimatise themselves and work out exactly where the limit is. Now we head on to a 10-minute qualifying session. I believe it'll be just 2 laps on offer. I've been wrong before about matters such as this, so we will see exactly what people's strategy is. How much you're willing to push on lap 1, knowing that it's going to be the best tyres your truck will have, but also your chance to get a banker lap in so that you can really hand it all out on lap number 2. Just following through the outlaps here, and I think I can actually get the paints updated for you all. Apologies for that. Everything nice and refreshed as we get through qualifying. Let's see who is going to be first out. Justin Raw is going to peel out of pit lane. It looks like our first driver on an outlap is Fidel Fabian in number 11. You can see how tricky that carousel section is. The bumps, very easy to unsettle the rear end. We feed through back over this bridge. And then on the brakes, nice wide entry to the final corner. And down on the power to start the first qualifying lap BSR Grid Network Truck Series has seen at Chicago. Fidel Fabian. Get on the brakes down to about 50 miles an hour into turn number 1. It is about precision. It is about consistency. It's about keeping the truck in one piece more than anything else. And it's right on board through this chute section. 140 miles an hour, but on the brakes almost as soon as you get straight here again. Feeding it through at about 70 miles an hour and then back through. And we've got to be careful to not even graze the wall in a qualifying lap here. iRacing will invalidate in case we have any cheekiness or wall riding potential in the race. You also want to stay away from the concrete walls, especially because they can do a number on the car in a heartbeat, and there are no fast repairs available for tonight's race. So if you do take that significant damage, then you are going to spend a long time on pit road having your crew sort it out. Fabian doing a great job keeping a clean lap through here so far. Again, it's about getting a time on the board and also getting those tyres up to temperature a little bit more. The absolute time might be faster in lap number 1, but if you have the confidence to push on lap 2 at a track like this, that is far more valuable than having the slightly fresher rubber underneath the car. Fidel Fabian will cross the line, be the first driver with a lap on the board, and it'll be 32.1. Alex Kerfen is fastest right now with a 30.4. Great work from Alex Kerfen there. We'll continue on to lap number 2. Tristan Maher just on an outlap right now, going down the back straightaway over on South Columbus Drive. It fits both the start-finish stretch and the run from turn 5 down to turn 6 that we see Alex Kerfen on right now. Curved section against the waterfront down at turns 3 and 4 is South Lakeshore Drive here. So Alex Kerfen, currently the pick of the bunch with a 1:30.4, letting it hang out there through turn number 7. This is the run through 8, 9, and 10. One of the most difficult runs in the entire lap. Cody McCorkle, third fastest with a 31.6 on the board. Alex Kerfen, heavy on the brakes, keeps it tucked in. And Justin Raw, lap number 1, is going to be fastest. Gets into the 29s with a 29.882. Kerfen will come across the line. Philip Scott will also jump into second place. Can Kerfen respond? He can, but not enough to jump ahead. And crucially, Tristan Maher, fastest in practice, is now starting his 2-lap run down into turn number 1. Shane van Gisbergen, of course, the winner of 4 of the 5 races that were run here in real life between the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. When he first came here in 2023, he said one of the most difficult things about running a NASCAR compared to in supercars over in America is the lack of feelers. The supercars come with fairly stock wind mirrors that a lot of drivers on street courses use as an early warning device almost to let them know when they're about to be on the wall or when they're really pushing the limit. You don't have that luxury in NASCAR. You see the wind mirrors tucked well into the cockpit, and drivers must rely on the rear view mirror in the center of the car. So the first notice you have that you are too close to the wall is that the door gets knocked in, and maybe one of the wheels as well. And of course, a lap being invalidated over in iRacing. Tristan Maher's looked out pretty clean so far. Again, Justin Raw, the only driver into the 129s in qualifying so far. Tristan Maher was the other driver to manage it in practice. Can he do the same this time? And the answer is yes. It is a 29.539. And Tristan Maher goes to the top of the board with 3.5 minutes left in the session. We now go to Cameron Caldwell on lap number 1 in that two-town cider-house Chevrolet. There'll be just enough time to get both laps in for Cameron, as long as there's not a big incident. A crash now through the final sector would mean he wouldn't have time to reset into a backup truck and get around. So this has to be the run for a driver who we know to be a little bit of a road course expert and constantly asking for, well, I say asking for, constantly opting for more of these rounds on the calendar. Caldwell finished 3rd over at Portland just a couple of months ago, behind Michael Truder in 2nd and Rivers Jones, the race winner. Both drivers, I believe, not in attendance tonight, and so it's a perfect chance for Cameron Caldwell. But clearly Tristan has come to play here in the 17. See if Caldwell has a response. And he comes across the line for lap number 1. Is it going to be good enough? It's not. It's good enough for 5th place, but it's down at a 31.0. He's found a 2.5 seconds to jump Tristan Maher, and at least half a second to move up onto the front 2 rows of the grid. And you can see the rear tyres maybe struggling a little bit after such a aggressive lap number 1. Caldwell currently the only driver out on track. A lot of drivers opting for a start from the tail end of the field. Only 10 drivers with times on the board. And Caldwell nearly ended up back in pit lane through turns 4 and 5. Kept a hold of it. But those rear Goodyear tyres are going to be on fire right now. We'll see how he can navigate through this next sequence of corners. Get a nice high up shot of this carousel section. And it looks so easy from up here, but when you're down on the ground, you can tell it really is not. And contact on the exit of turn 10 will end that qualifying run. And we are now done for our qualifying session. Just a minute to go. But no drivers out on track. So the 10 who have managed to set times. Tristan Maher with a 29.474 at the end of proceedings. Improved on lap number 2 by just a tenth to move even further ahead at the front of the field. Justin Rourke will line up alongside with a 29.882. And then Scott and Curfin in the low 1 minute 30s. The rest of the field in the 31s with Bailey Thompson rounding out the qualifiers with a 32.459. 3 seconds a lap just in the group that have put qualifying laps in. Of course, race pace tends to be a little bit tighter, but this could be a race with a lot of lap traffic, I think, and a real challenge to navigate the trucks around you on such tight streets. But if Tristan Maher leading the way, he takes the pole position for tonight's race. So as our field gets ready for tonight's race, let's take one final look at our starting lineup here in Chicago. It will be Tristan Maher leading the way from pole position with Justin Rourke alongside, and both drivers getting under 90 seconds around this course. Then it'll be Philip Scott and Alex Curfin in the 1 minute 30s behind in row number 2. Cameron Caldwell and Fidel Fabian will line up on the 3rd row of tonight's field. And then Michael Walls, Cody McCorkle, and Gabe Pizola and Bailey Thompson round out your top 10 and your drivers with times here for tonight's race. William Kemp will start 11th with Levi Poland in 12th behind. Now Zach Probst, Matthew Stotts, Zachary Wareham, Stephen Thornton, and Aaron Vondruska, who round out your 17-car field, braving the 50-lap race here in Chicago. The circuit, 2.14 miles in length. We mentioned 12 corners on offer, but a lap time of 90 seconds means that sort of the average pole speed that you're looking at here is only about 83 miles per hour. One of, I think, the lowest pole speeds on the NASCAR, if not the lowest. It's just the challenges of a street circuit, one that is unfamiliar, I believe, to these drivers. This is the first time the BSR Grid Network Truck Series has run here. But we are rolling away for the first time. It'll be one pace lap, and then we will get going. As always, we have a little bit of admin to get through. This is your race analysis. Again, 50 laps on offer. Stage points will be awarded at the 1/4 mark as usual at the end of lap 13. As has been the case for all of this season, there will not be an automatic yellow at that moment. It will be continuing on, just award those points, the 10 points to the stage winner, and of course the 1 playoff point that goes with that, and then down, subtracting 1 each position until 10th place in the stage picks up 1 point for their trouble. We are expecting it to be a pure one-stop race here. We've seen some road course races in the past be split between the 1 and the 2 stop, but the fuel time to be able to make it about 30 laps. And so the window will open around about lap 20 to get to the end of the race, maybe as early as lap 18 if someone has some damage need to get fixed and is willing to do a little bit of fuel saving to make it home. We have, it looks like, 3 pit starters waiting in the lane right now. And it's all three are drivers who opted to not start making an attempt in qualifying. In fact, Liam Kemp, the only driver currently waiting in pit lane for the signal. Matthew Stott and Zachary Wareham not here right now. May be a practice-only attempt. Let's see what comes of that. Round through the final sector here. It's about the only time you can really go too wide through that carousel corner is when you are lined up 2 by 2 behind the pace truck. And in just a moment's time, it's going to peel off into the safety of pit lane. And these drivers are going to have a very difficult challenge ahead of them. It's Tristan Maher and Justin Rohr lined up at the front of the field under the command of Barney the Flagman.
Green flag.
And we are underway for the streets of Chicago. And in fact, Justin Rohr has swept around the outside in turn number 1 and has taken the lead straight away from Tristan Maher. He's now under pressure from Alex Kerfen in the 3rd position. Most off the field making their way through, getting into a single file. This section very much going to string you out down on the brakes through 4 and 5. And it's like most of the field through. Stephen Thornton may be carrying some damage in the early running. Walls is on the outside here of Cody McCorkle coming through turn number 6. And they come over the crest and down into 7. Now Bailey Thompson looking to the inside of Cody. They get mostly lined up. Gabe Zola might have to slot in here. No, he's going to try and sweep it around the outside of turn number 8 and does a great job getting ahead of Bailey Thompson, holding on to that 9th position where he started. Oh, and Thompson is around. Gets a tap from, I think, Zach Probst, unfortunately. And it sends Thompson to the tail end of the field. Back at the front, Alex Kerfen having a look as Tristan Maher's gotten back past Justin Rohr there. It runs Maher, Rohr, Kerfen right now. Number 30 looking for an opportunity to move up into the 2nd position. An instant down at turn number 1 as well. It's going to be a race with a lot of replays to keep track of. Just keep an eye on this lead group for another lap, and then we'll get back to some of the instants further back. Aaron von Druska, it seems like down at turn number 1, may have had an incident as well that's caught up a couple of drivers. Phil Fabino for a move on. Cameron Caldwell gets it done. He's going to defend the inside through here. We saw the move that was able to be made earlier. It's not going to happen this time. Caldwell slots down to 5th place. Philip Scott, who started in 3rd, now runs in the 6th position. And let's have a look, first of all, at that move for the race lead. And it's contact with the wall. Justin Rohr a little bit too deep through turn 11. Maher gets the outside of turn number 12, forces Justin narrow, and then the crossover move gets to the inside. It's a drag race down the start-finish straight. And Tristan actually gets there pretty quickly, with Rohr struggling a little bit on the run through. Let's have another look at that incident down at turn 11. This was Bailey Thompson and Zach Probst behind. Just a little bit deep on the brakes. Wasn't expecting quite the checkup I think that Zach Probst has called it from that. We saw Thompson spin things back around there, but falls to the tail end. And then Aaron Vondruska here. Wheel hop on the downshift. There's a big piece of contact, and it's Levi Poland with nowhere to go in response. Let's ride on board with Levi for that one and just see how quickly it all happens. On the brakes, looking at the apex for turn number 1. And that's a little bit deep in the corner as well, but there's nowhere to go with the instant ahead. Vondruska carrying a lot of damage right now. I imagine the same for Levi. He's not too crunched in. Under pressure right now from Bailey Thompson for the 10th position. Was there contact between the two? There's contact on the apex. And Thompson gets around. Was that a little bit as a spin for Vondruska in the background there? Struggling on those tires. One slide can really put you into a bit of a spiral. As we watch right now the battle for 7th place, Michael Walls in the GOAT Racing number 7 ahead of Gabe Trizzola and Cody McCorkle. We saw a great move from Gabe Trizzola in the opening lap. Got to try and set up another one here on Micah Walls, who has had such a strong season to this point. 1 win, but 9 top 10s in 9 starts. He's currently running in the 7th position as well. See how well he's able to withstand the pressure from Gabe Trizzola in the 95 behind. Caldwell could be under pressure here from Philip Scott. There's a bit of a 3-car train running for the 4th position as well. The top 3 looking to check out at the front of the field, 4 laps in, and the gap between Kerfin and Fabian already 4 seconds. See Scott wide loose out of turn number 2. Reed gathers control of the truck, but this is a very bunched up race right now. We've got Maher, Raw and Kerfin leading the way, then behind this battle pack with Fidel Fabian, Cameron Caldwell and Philip Scott. And then Michael Walls, Gabe Trizzola and Cody McCorkle, really the last drivers to avoid the calamity, with drivers like Thompson, Poland, Vondruska, Thornton and Kempf all falling foul in some way. Caldwell's looking to the inside of turn number 7. Can't get it stopped, but forces Fabian into the wall. A mistake. And now, getting underneath the rear bumper, Fidel holds on to it somehow. To be carrying some damage from that wall hit and had to wheel it. Caldwell's getting into the back in the checkup. Gabe Trizzola looking for the move on the inside of Michael Walls. Gets there. Gets a nose ahead. A late lunge into turn number 10. And Trizzola will have the line into turn 12. Almost a little bit too deep, but holds on to it. And now just has to defend in the drag race down towards turn number 1. 5 of 50 laps cleared here today. And we have seen some fantastic battles already. Walls to the outside of turn number 2, going to be walled out by Gabe Trizzola. And could be under a little bit of pressure from Cody McCorkle potentially. But hold on to it so far. Tristan Maher lost the lead of the start in turn number 1. Regained it down at turn 11. And has now pulled a 1.0 second lead over Justin Raw behind. Alex Kerfin has latched onto the group as well, but it's also around about a second behind Raw. I would say well within slipstream range, but there's not really enough high-speed sections to make the slipstream too impactful. It's all about mechanical grip, what you're able to do with the tires, the engine, and it's so tricky. A little bit of downforce, of course, but again, the high speed is not really coming through. Cameron Caldwell, maybe a little bit slow through the carousel section, I'm not sure. Philip Scott got into the wall on the exit, now under pressure from Gabe Cazzola as this group has caught up to the fight. It's now a 6-car tango for 4th place. Fidel Fabian hoping he can scamper away as they start to scrap behind. Philip Scott under immense pressure from Gabe Cazzola. And I feel like there was a little bit of a check-up there. Let's go back and have a look and see if we can identify what happened. Oh, I know, we gotta walk back a little bit further and get up into the skies, I think. Caldwell deep slides it, drifts it through turn number 8. Scott gets checked up, makes contact with the rear bumper. He's trying to find a way through, but it's such a bottleneck section. And then ends up drifting out wide and into the wall down at turn number 10. That explains why that group suddenly ended up back where they were. Scott did a fantastic job holding onto the position and staying on the tail end of Caldwell while not dumping the 12 ultimately. We know Scott had great qualifying pace, but can't really find a way around to use it right now after losing 3 spots on the opening lap. About halfway through stage number 1, which means about a quarter of the way through the opening stint on fuel, we'd expect. Walls trying to put pressure on Gabe Cazzola. Great fight between this group, putting on an absolute show for the fans. Meanwhile, Justin Raw starting to pull a gap on the number 30 of Alex Kerfen. Gap now 1.6 seconds as things stand. Raw doing a great job to hold on to Tristan Maher for the time being. And then down at the tail end of the straight, it is Fidel Fabian who leads the way, but Cameron Caldwell's going to go for a look. Going to force Fabian wide. Fabian nearly gets into the tyres and gets a little scrape of the wall. Is it enough to open up a move for Caldwell? Scott is going to go for the inside of Caldwell. And there's contact. They're 3 wide. It spins Fabian around. And it's a difficult place to get the flip spin done. Fabian does manage it. That moves Caldwell up into 4th place. Walls actually fell down into stayed in 6th with Gabe Cazzola picking the pocket and gaining 2 positions. In fact, now Michael Walls made it through as well. I think wounded, very wounded for Philip Scott right now on that front end. There are no fast repairs available, so drivers will have to manage the damage that they have or take the time on pit road to get it fixed. Scott wants the spot back, can't get the drag race on Michael Walls. Could be struggling for top end speed. Potentially some end drives, potentially just hurting the drag on the front nose. And that's a lockup from Cameron Caldwell. Holds on to it, but could be under pressure now from Gabe Cazzola in the number 95. It's all mixed up in this battle for 4th place. Following that very 3 wide moment, pretty much into turn number 7. It was never going to work. It was, unfortunately, Fidel Fabian, the leader of the group, who ended up worse off and is now about 8 seconds back, just ahead of Bailey Thompson. And Caldwell's deep through turn 6. It's almost a repeat of the previous lap. This time, Cazzola to the outside. Caldwell going to try and defend on the inside line. They're going to make it through side by side. What do they do now as they come into the carousel section? And Gabe Cazzola once again makes it around the outside. Michael Walls now making it down through the inside line. as we turn back to a left-hander. Caldwell now struggling. Now Philip Scott goes for the move, spins Caldwell around into the wall, and gets the move done. Cody McCorkle looking for a way around, but I think maybe just thinks, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to get between these two. As I think Cameron Caldwell is quite severely wounded, and McCorkle will get through. And my, oh my, chaos here in Chicago as we get into the back half of stage number 1. Caldwell did go for a dive there. I mean, I think it's just struggling to get the truck home. The wheel is pointed straight, but you can see that the tires are struggling so much. The truck looks awfully loose coming through the bumps. Meanwhile, Gabe Tazzola now up 5 positions and at the lead end of this group. Michael Walls wants a way through. The wounded Philip Scott still holding on. Knows there is race pace available. Just how much of it has been denied by that damage. There's a couple of retirements coming through. Zach Probst out of the race on lap number 1, of course. William Kemp, pre-announced as a starting park, will come in after 7 laps. And Levi Poland now seems to be down in pit lane. As Cameron Caldwell also pits. Haas takes some repairs on that truck. And it's a big lunge from Philip Scott down at turn number 2. Walls holds the outside line, but it's a drag race now down towards turns 4 and 5, and Walls is going to clear. Philip Scott, I think, driving with quite a bit of aggression right now after those early incidents. Of course, the racing can be a little bit impatient, just keeping a hold of the tires sometimes, but you also do need to make sure you get moves done when you can. Sometimes being decisive can be the best way. Walls pits the inside down at turn number 6, but it'll turn to the outside for 7. We've seen dives here, we've seen calamities here a number of times, and it will be Philip Scott ahead of Michael Walls now, despite that damage, back up into the 5th position. Now looking to chase down Gabe Cazzola for that P4 spot. And we've got to look back at some replays, I think, because this has been a crazy, crazy turn of events as we have a couple of laps left in the opening stage. Let's roll this back a little bit further. Fidel Fabian gets a look from Cameron Caldwell, leaves the room, gets a tiny bit into the wall, chooses to go to the racing line. Caldwell goes for the inside. So does Fabian. I think Fabian... I've got to slow this one down, I think. So Fabian gets to the inside of Caldwell, who's already going for a bit of a lunge. You see Caldwell almost takes a little bit of evasive action, locks up the tyres and tags Fidel Fabian. Then Scott gets into the side of Caldwell, gets into the wall. Caldwell then gets into Fabian. Then it's Scott that just completely tips the 11 truck around. It holds up Scott more, which is why he falls down those couple of positions. And unfortunately leaves Fidel Fabian towards the tail end of the field. Of course, then had the dive on Cameron Caldwell a lap or so later. I think it might be this incident here. You see a couple drivers got through. Scott once again goes for the look. And just gets into the side of Caldwell. A little bit of an awkward piece of contact between the two of them. Caldwell gets knocked around. You see the contact with the rear end that I think really puts that truck out of alignment. Philip Scott able to continue on. Scott now has also gotten around Gabe Cazzola for that 4th position. It's crucial because this is the final lap of the stage. And right now it is Tristan Maher now with a 2.1 second lead over the front of the field. Justin Rohr behind Alex Kerfen, 6 seconds adrift now, down in 3rd position. It's that long run race pace that's really coming through for the top 2, and especially Tristan, as the tyres start to wear, and it's about who can be the smoothest. And it is, in this case, Tristan Maher who will lead the field to the green and checkered flag. Tristan Maher will win stage 1 here at Chicago. It'll be Justin Rohr in 2nd, Alex Kerfen in 3rd. Philip Scott will lead Gabe Cazzola home for 4th position, with Michael Walls just behind. And then Fidel Fabian got turned around at the start of this melee, being chased down by Bailey Thompson. Tony McCorkle made it into 7th place. Bailey did look for the move to the inside, but couldn't get it stuck. They'll come to the line. It will be Fidel Fabian in 8th place and Bailey Thompson in 9th. And those are your stage results. Aaron Vondruska, we expect to come back around for the 10th position, but already 1 lap down as things stand. Let's get a quick look at a couple of other incidents that we've had. Levi Poland, unfortunately, is now out of the race. And this might be the reason why, down at turn number 1, where Levi got caught up already once this race on Aaron Vondruska and lit up the tyres trying to get it fired back up. That will be the end of proceedings for Levi. Stephen Thornton as well, slow getting out of the way of our race leaders. We won't worry about that one. This was Aaron Vondruska on lap number 11, catching the inside wall just barely at turn number 1. And then overheated tyres, spins to the inside at turn 2. Is able to get things fired back again. And finally, before we get back to our live pictures, let's have a look at the overtake that, I think this could be set up for a while. Philip Scott made the move on Gabe Cazzola, I think coming to the white flag in the stage. There's Michael Walls into the wall behind. Gabe Cazzola, a little bit of an awkward exit off the corner. It was a little bit defensive. Philip Scott trying to force a way through, ends up going to the outside of the final corner. And in a drag race down towards turn number 1. Getting the shifts that little bit better, gets to the inside crucially, and is able to keep the 95 walled out. And able to take the racing line for turn 2 even. So great work from Philip Scott to get back up into 4th place after a tumultuous couple of laps there. This is our closest battle out on the racetrack right now between Fidel Fabian and Bailey Thompson. Bailey hopped in with just a couple of minutes of practice. Fidel Fabian started in 6th place and was running as high as 4th before the incident with Caldwell and Scott. And nearly a piece of contact from Bailey Thompson into the tailgate of Fidel Fabian. There, manages to keep it out of harm's way, fortunately. And another change, an incident, in fact, for Gabe Cazorla just a moment ago. Down at turn number 1, wheel hop on the brakes, slides it around, keeps it out of the wall by some miracle with how high speed the entry is. But it does allow walls past 5th place. It comes at a good time with the stage already complete. He's got the rest of the race now to try and fight that one back. Thompson all over the back of Fidel Fabian, who is carrying that damage, and I think hurting a little bit for performance because of that. A great fight between these two, clean for a number of laps. Now a lunge from Bailey Thompson, bats out of it, but it forces Fabian wide through turn number 6. Has to leave the room just in case Bailey couldn't get it stopped. A great defensive show from Fidel Fabian, again, who currently runs in the 8th position, fending off the GGA truck of Bailey Thompson. It's a very distinctive truck. That's all I'll say. And it's a move to the inside from the 27. Again, room left from Fabian. Again, Thompson gets it stuck to the inside and doesn't wash out. Again, the move doesn't work, unfortunately. But it shows that it is possible to have these long, extended battles on a street course without any contact. I imagine that frustration might be getting to Bailey a little bit. It could be a matter of time before a slightly more robust move comes through. As Fabian a little bit slow there actually through turn number 3. Thompson does get right to the tail end. A little bit loose getting back on the brakes to not run over the number 11. Again, pit window about to open for our drivers. William Kemp actually did come back out of pit lane to pick up a couple more spots from Levi Poland and Cameron Caldwell, but has now pulled back in, likely to retire the truck and move on to NetSuite at North Wilkesboro. So pit window about to open, but I would imagine drivers would prefer to get towards halfway if possible, and maybe even go a little bit further until the fuel tank runs out, because if you pit and get caught in traffic here, you can see it's difficult to overtake. You need a real pace advantage to get a move done. And so if you have the track position right now, it might be worth a couple laps on slightly worse tyres and opening up. I mean, it's, you don't want to pit into traffic, but also the longer you wait, it gives the car behind it an opportunity to pit, try and undercut you, and then they have the track position, and you have to find your way back around using only a couple lap tyre delta. It's doable. We've seen moves made here, but it's not a situation you want to put yourself in at a street circuit. And so I'd imagine while the trucks at the front will wait as long as they can to make that first stop and go a little bit past halfway, I would imagine it would be your immediate response once one driver pits. I think the rest of the field is going to follow as a slide late on the brakes. And a little bit of rear brake bias potentially from Bailey Thompson, but doesn't end up sliding past the marks and into Fidel Fabian. This is your closest battle on track within about a second. Gabe Cazorla is trying to put a challenge back on Michael Walls. Currently runs 2 seconds behind as we enter lap 19 of 50. Because after that slide in turn number 1, the tyres are going to be a concern for the number 95. And it's a slide again from Von Druska down at turn number 2. running in 10th place currently. Only 11 trucks still out on track from the 15 that made the race start. And flying past there was your battle for 8th place, and Bailey Thompson keeps looking for that move down at turn number 5, trying to catch Fabian off guard. It's just so tricky because they're so unlikely to open up. That's just such a short run from turn 4 to 5 that getting tucked to the inside and far enough along the side where it'll be door-to-door contact that doesn't spin anyone out. It's so tricky. And this time it's another attempt, but it's not far enough. Alonso, it's not enough overspeed to commit to trying to get to the inside apex. You've got to be confident that a move is going to work because there's no room to the inside. There's no runoff you can cut and bail out of an attempt. If you're stuck to the inside of someone and it doesn't work out, it is concrete that is going to greet you. Oh, and Von Truska with another spin down turn number 1 and contact this time. This is not the correct incident. And quite a whack to that right rear corner, unfortunately. There's also been an incident for Stephen Thornton. I don't know, that's just letting the leaders by once again. Yeah, one thing we've seen from Stephen Thornton, it can be a struggle for pace sometimes, and especially at a track like this. You can't blame any driver for struggling to keep up with the likes of Tristan Maher. But always so respectful with making sure to not get involved in the leader's fight. And is only one instant away from picking up a top 10 out of this race, despite being 2 laps down currently. This duo is catching Cody McCorkle. It is worth mentioning. They've been fighting, but the number 2 truck, it's only 3 seconds up the road. And the difference in lap time last time by was 1.2 between Cody and Fidel. So a late stint charge to try and catch up to the number 2 truck. And it's a move now from Bailey Thompson. And it's caught an awkward time with Stephen Thornton to the outside. And Fabian's actually able to hold on to it and retake the position. I mean, what a crazy turn of events that was. Let's get another look down at turn number 6, but first another look from Bailey, and it's not going to work out again. It's getting in the head of Fidel Fabian, I think you've got to say, massively, and that's important. And Fabian in fact will pit. It's going to make the early stop here the moment the window opens, and it's going to get out of the way. Let's have a look back at that move for turn number 6 as Fabian rolls it into pit lane. And this was a brave move. Just gets on the brakes, hard on the brakes, gets it to the apex. And Fabian has to sort of pinch it a little bit tight, but carries the speed on exit, does a great job. Bailey now back out of pit lane. And that was a drive-through penalty. Or Fidel Fabian missed the box. No stop for Fidel there. And so it hands the position over. Michael Wall's slow there. And it's passed by Cody McCorkle. What on earth has happened to Michael Walls? And a slide and hard contact down at turn number 7. Corkle brave, it was a Dave Pistola, sorry, brave on the power to slot through, not given a chance for Walls to fight it back. Both drivers actually now down pit lane, so they see the window open as well. Cody McCorkle stays out and is going to move up into the 5th position right now. Bailey Thompson also stays out and moves up into 6th place. Fidel Fabian back down pit lane. I wonder if Fabian missed the pit box and had to come back around a second time. It's a time loss of about 20 seconds for a pass-through penalty. And so, a brutal turn of events for the 11, who was in such a strong fight there. Dave Pistola with a fast stop. Wall staying stationary the next couple seconds, maybe to try and get some of that damage fixed. You can see that right front still not a little bit out, as well as the left rear. The top 6 all yet to pit. Philip Scott is using that pace, has caught back up to Alex Kerfen as drivers feed their way around, and that's Von Drewster into the wall down at turn 6. After getting around Stephen Thornton, Walls will get past the both of them. On to lap 24 right now, so one more lap until the halfway point. The sort of geometrically optimal pit stop if you want to maximize tire life in both stints. But races aren't run on paper, they're run on the racetrack. And if you can get around another driver with a smartly timed pit stop, like maybe Philip Scott might try here, that is so much more important than an extra couple of tenths of theoretical pace. Bailey Thompson now down on pit road. We keep an eye on your race leaders. Tristan Maher stays out, opts to not fall into traffic. I think a very smart call for the race leader. Justin Rohr does the same. Will Kerfen or Scott choose to blink? Kerfen a little bit deep down at turn 12. Holds onto it, and it is Scott who is going to peel down pit lane. He's about a second and a half behind. Fresh tyres worth maybe a second or two a lap. But it depends how aggressive you can be on the outlap, how aggressive Kerfen can be on the in-lap. And it's an instant for Fidel Fabian as well, who moves now out of the way of Alex Kerfen. It was down at turn number 12. In fact, set down at turn 1. It's that rear slide and keep it out of the wall, but overheating the tyres a fair bit with that. Here comes Kerfen with a little bit of a slide off the corner. Philip Scott has made the pit stop and has actually remained in 4th place, even though Cody McCorkle is yet to stop behind. We'll see if Kerfen responds this time by. Tristan Maher is in a whole bunch of traffic. Von Drewster peels down pit lane. Maher's ahead of Bailey Thompson, but Thompson's on fresh tyres. Might want to try and find a way through here. Justin Rohr opts for pit lane instead. Will Alex Kerfen cover off the move from Philip Scott. No, Curfin's going to continue on, going to focus on that tyre delta. It'll give Scott a much easier chance of getting the overtake done. I'm interested to see what the first flying lap is going to be for the number 9. This is, of course, the out lap, so we're not going to get a very clear number. Justin Rohr, though, still on pit road. 4 tyres, the obvious call here. Very surprised to see any drivers deviate from that. And that's the gap between Justin Rohr and Philip Scott. Now that they've both finished their, should hopefully be one and only pit stop. Tristan Marr has still been tailgated by Bailey Thompson. The tyre delta really coming into play here. Tristan Maher ran a 31.3 as a fast lap, but now running 33.5. Bailey Thompson's fast lap at 32.6. And so, in theory, has the pace to be faster than Tristan right now, but can't find a way around and doesn't want to get into a fight with the race leader, because that could be disastrous. And Tristan finally makes the call on lap 26 down towards pit lane. Will Alex Curfin follow? A bit of a wall tap, it looks like, potentially. It's Curfin and Thornton, the only drivers yet to make a stop. Curfin does get in, nearly gets tapped around by Fidel Fabian on entry. It's a very tricky pit in there. You have to be slow off the apex of the final corner. And if drivers aren't looking out, it can very easily lead to calamity. So it's Maher and Curfin both in with 24 laps to go. This will effectively complete the pit cycle for the leaders. Tristan Maher already rolling out of pit lane. Alex Curfin up on the jacks. The key eye is towards Philip Scott, who just crosses the start-finish line now. Alex Curfin is just rolling, but Philip Scott is ahead. Gets the move done in pit lane with a 2-lap undercut. Curfin finally gets rolling and has a gap of 3 seconds to make up as Von Drooster spins ahead, clears out the traffic, of course. But Alex Curfin has lost a position in that pit cycle. Cody McCorkle, in fact, who extended a little bit as well, has lost 2 spots, I think. No, just the one to Bailey Thompson. Of course, Fabian running behind after that accidental pass-through penalty. And once again, the same situation that Scott and Curfin are in if we pull up the stint length. Curfin has a 2-lap tyre advantage over Scott. McCorkle has a 2-lap tyre advantage over Thompson. They've got to make sure that they can find that pace over the rest of the run. The gap between Thompson and McCorkle, less than 2 seconds right now. Curfin's now fallen to 4 seconds behind. Philip Scott struggled on the outlap, unfortunately, and has a lot of ground to make up. You see Scott just fading away through 4 and 5 there. The gap holding at 4 seconds. Tristan Maher, first flying lap after the pit cycle. And it is an incredible lap. Let's go to the qualifying box. A 1:30.648 for Tristan Maher. A second faster, pretty much, than anyone else's fastest lap right now. Philip Scott is actually the driver with the second fastest race lap, and it's a 31.4. So Tristan, finding confidence after the pit stop, is leaving a trail of dust in the wake. And Justin Rohr now nearly 9 seconds behind at the other end of the straightaway. Looking to hope and chase down, and maybe ask for a mistake from Stephen Thornton ultimately. Oh, so Justin Maher ultimately, as Stephen Thornton has had a mistake a little bit further back. Nope is letting drivers by once again. Conor McCorkle, however, did have an incident here. Oh, inside, that's beard contact to the rear axle. And that is going to end the charge that we were looking at. Put the truck pretty clearly pulling to the left, I think, after that contact. And a gap that was close to 2 seconds, under 2 seconds to Bailey Thompson, now falls to 6. And it could be more a matter of trying to stem the bleeding now with that wounded truck and hold off Fidel Fabian, who runs currently 15 seconds behind as the final truck on the lead lap. Our closest battle then is once again Alex Kerfen, who with that 2-lap tyre advantage is looking to chase down Philip Scott. Has gained half a second last lap, now within 2.8 of your race leader. As Michael Walls, a couple of connection issues it looks like, but has come back into this realm and remains in P6. And this is the thing about making an overcut, making that late pit stop call. The undercut, getting fresh tyres on it, helps you so much for those 2 laps. We've seen that gap that Philip Scott was able to overturn and build in those 2 laps with fresh tyres compared to Alex Kerfen behind. But then the remaining 24 laps, the rest of the race, is suddenly stacked against you. And Alex Kerfen has those fresher tyres and will have them all the way to the checkered flag. He's trying to manage them to make sure that they stay faster than Scott's, despite doing less laps. And it looks like this time by maybe hasn't actually gained that much. Scott with a 32.3, but Alex Kerfen only with a 32.0, gained 0.3 of a second. You can see does have that little bit of damage on the left front corner. Could be causing a little bit of trouble for the number 30. An incident for Fidel Fabian here. Is it contact with the race leader? Is it straight on at turn 11? Couldn't work out the best way to navigate with the race leader behind. Chooses to go 1 lap down. And Tristan Maher continues the charge. Now, gap nearly 10 seconds to your second place driver and gained 0.4 last lap as well. A truly dominant run from the native of Lake Michigan. Justin Rohr from Pennsylvania, not too far behind. Is the only driver who's really been able to hold on, but after the pit cycle, it really has been another level that Tristan has shown. 19 laps to go. Of course, nothing ever certain in racing. Nothing ever certain in the street circuit more than any. 1 lapse of judgment and you can be deep into a barrier and out of the race. So for Tristan Maher, if he's able to bring it down a couple of clips while still staying locked in, staying consistent, which is the most important thing. It might be the best thing to get to the end, but I don't think Tristan is down the back even slightly. And it can be difficult to do that sometimes because it can hurt the focus. And I think the only mode that Tristan has is go like hell, and he has that more than 10-second lead built up right now. An instant for Vondrouska might be terminal at this point. This is the number 88 truck. Mid slide continues rotating on the exit of turn 8 into the barrier. And I think realizes there's a little bit too much damage sustained. It'll be the end of the race for Aaron Vondrouska. And we have now just 10 trucks out on track, 8 on the lead lap. Fidel Fabian, who's just fallen 1 lap down, and Stephen Thornton, who has now been moved up into the top 10. One of the biggest gainers. Vondrouska still joint for the biggest gain of the race. Started 15th and is currently classified in 11th. Stephen Thornton started 14th and is now running in the 10th position. But Gabe Cazzola, who has been in the middle of a lot of action so far today, has done a great job keeping it cool. Moved up from the 9th position up into 5th place. Also a shout out to Bailey Thompson, up 3 positions after starting in 10th. It was a slow lap for Alex Kerfen last time by a 33.0 compared to Philip Scott's 32.6. The gap extended quite significantly. But now the gap back within 3 seconds and closing between Scott and Kerfen. They've got Fidel Fabian currently between the two. But Aaron Vondrouska has come back out of pit lane after that tow, so he's going to try and fight with Thornton for that final spot in the top 10. Meanwhile, it's a battle for the podium, and it's ebbing and flowing at around about 3 seconds between Philip Scott and Alex Kerfen. Lap times come through a 33.6 for Philip Scott with a 32.8 for Alex Kerfen. It's such high variance even within 1 lap, as a driver has a good set, has a bad corner, and things fall to and fro. Now it will be Fidel Fabian pulling out of the way of your lead lap trucks. Fabian still classified, of course, in that 9th position, looking to pick up spots from any driver who made some mistake here. Kerfen once again fading in this battle. Philip Scott building the gap back to 3.6 seconds and pushing the limits there through turn number 6. It's impressive the ebb and the flow that we're seeing in these lap times. The consistency is so difficult to find at a street course. It's always a balance of risk versus reward. And it seems like this lap, Philip Scott has realized that there is a beast chasing down. He's been awaited a 31.7 from Philip Scott in the number 9, wants to hold on to this podium. About 3 of the top 4 drivers hailing from Michigan in this race right now. As mentioned, Raw from Pennsylvania. Philip Scott fastest of anybody last time by. Let's pull up those last lap times. Even Tristan Maher has dialed it back a little bit to a 32.6. Well, the 32.5 behind. Could be the tyres are a little bit worse wear on Tristan's truck after going for that fastest lap attempt, of course. Philip Scott has been saving something for this point in the stint. That was the 9th lap of a stint, and it's only a quarter of a second off the best that he's done all race. His best lap, a 31.4, will pull those up right now. You see Maher and Kerfer, the only drivers with a 130 in race trim. But the consistency can pay off sometimes. Justin Rourke, 31.666, still holding on to a very comfortable second place. Although Philip Scott can replicate the last lap once again, he's going to be looking less and less comfortable by the minute. After staying to 5 seconds to Alex Kerfen now. It's not quite as fast as a 32.3, but still taking chunks out of Justin Rourke's lead. And it could be second place for Philip Scott potentially, not satisfied with running in 3rd where he qualified. That's Kerfen, 33.2, so another 9/10 of a second gained on that last lap. Philip Scott has found that additional gear. The question is now just whether it will end in disaster, because the more that you push at a circuit like this, the more you put the truck on the line. Got to make it 15 more laps. Got to make it on this set of tyres as well to hold onto these positions. But he's driving with confidence right now. A 32.1. We're not looking at the battle for 3rd place anymore. We're looking at the battle for 2nd place. Philip Scott within 5 seconds as Justin Rourke struggling for pace right now. Last lap, a 33.742. Is there damage on the number 76 truck? There's that little bit of a chunk on the left front. Is it a significant factor, or is it just fatigue? Is it just not being able to find the same pace that Philip Scott can at this late phase of the race? You mentioned 110 miles on offer. It's not a particularly long race by distance standards. It's not the longest race by time either. But in terms of energy, in terms of how strenuous it is to navigate a truck like this around a street circuit for over an hour, it is so tricky. And right now, Philip Scott finding a second wind and looking to move up into 2nd place now within 4 seconds of Justin Rourke, front row qualifier. See the times at the stripe. Rourke finds a 10th to 33.6. Philip Scott loses a couple of tenths to his last lap. Still 1.3 seconds gained over the last 2.2 miles. At this rate, we would expect Scott to catch with about 10 laps to go. Have plenty of time to try and engineer a move around. Tristan Maher has started to up the pace once again, is seeing what's happening behind and is making sure to leave a nice wide buffer. This is an incredible second stint from Philip Scott. has closed in to the race leader, Tristan Maher, with the fastest lap, of course, but has started to manage the race following that. Philip Scott has been on full attack. I mean, really since the drop of the green flag, but has now been able to unleash that pace following the pit cycle. After getting clear from Kurfin with the undercut, remember, Scott's tyres are a lap older than Justin Raw even. He made the early stop to jump the number 30 truck and is now making full use of that clean air. Gap now within 3 seconds, down to 2.5. Justin Raw finds another couple tenths to a 33.4. Philip Scott still slices 1.1 seconds off the gap. Other battles up and down field. Got Gabe Trizzola trying to hold on to the top 5, fend off Michael Wards and Bailey Thompson behind. Wards had a bit of a slow lap last time, and Thompson gained 1.2, so it could be more of a battle for 6th place than 7th there. But this is the closest fight we have, and it's getting closer by the corner. Philip Scott now within 2 seconds of Justin Raw. We're not going to need this battle box for much longer, because it's about to be a scrap on the racetrack between the two of them, side by side. And it's just such confidence through these tight corners. This is one of the sections where you really need the tyre life to hold on, and actually Justin Raw found a little bit in the mid-corner, but now on the exit, Philip Scott continues to eat into that gap. Last lap gained 1.1 seconds. This time gained about 1.5 seconds. I think the gap is now at just about a second. A 34.0 for Justin Raw. Philip Scott gained 1.6 last time by. It's now a question of what can the number 76 do to defend for this position. Is there anything left? I think there might have been a little bit of contact there, potentially. Raw was a little bit slow off the corner. And Michael Walls has crashed as well. We'll cut that in just a moment. Right now, Philip Scott looking for the move for 2nd place. Goes to the racing line, goes to the slipstream, and Iron Von Druska just a little bit ahead as well. Von Druska pulls to the left-hand side. It'll narrow the entry a little bit for both of these drivers, and there's contact between the two of them, in fact. That's Von Druska's incident limit. That knocks Von Druska out of the race, and that will move Thornton up into the top 10. My, oh my. It looks like it has been cleared. So he'll be able to get back out there, but that's going to be effectively a second tow for Von Druska. And it's contact from the lead lap car of Philip Scott as he tried to follow Raw through in turn number 7. Let's get another look at this incident. Go to the skies. And it's the track narrows. Von Druska has to make sure to avoid the tires there on the outside. Philip Scott is trying to keep it narrow, but also does not want to back out of the corner. Wants to stay on the tail end. And unfortunately, it's contact between the two of them. Could be a little bit of damage potentially to the truck of Philip Scott as well, bear in mind. The door's knocked in a little bit. And the gap currently holding at 0.6 of a second. Let's get a quick look at that incident for Michael Walls as well. This is down at turn number 2, a couple of laps to go. And just over-rotates, too heavy on the throttle on exit. Lights up the rear tyres, has to get it going again. Those Goodyears are absolutely scorched, and you see Bailey Thompson fly around the outside for that 6th position. Gotta cut back now to our battle for 2nd place. Philip Scott back onto the tailgate of Justin Raw. 9 laps to go here at the line. Raw a little bit squirrely off the corner. Philip Scott gonna have the run, has been so fast on the straightaways. Has the inside line down into turn number 1. Can he make it stick? We saw Raw take the lead on the outside line on the opening lap. He's gonna take the outside again. It switches to the inside for turn number 2. Scott gonna try and drag race down towards turn number 4. Justin Raw is gonna fend it off for the time being. He's not wanting to give anything up right now. As Tristan Maher, there's chaos ahead. Tristan Maher had an incident. Bailey Thompson's pit to a meatball is down on pit lane. We've got the battle for 2nd place here right now. Philip Scott goes to the inside of turn number 6. Tristan Maher is fading fast as well. How much damage is holding on to that truck? That's a big chunk out of the right front side. Let's have a look back at that incident, because this is vital to the story of the race. We mentioned Tristan Maher running away with, but street course is so difficult. And it's Thompson. It was Thompson Rhett down at turn 4. So there's damage on that truck already. It just doesn't turn. And there's no time for Tristan Maher to react. The gap now 8 seconds. Tristan might be able to hold on to it. He's just got to find confidence in the truck again. So tricky in a situation like this. Justin Raw still fending off Philip Scott. This could be crucial for Tristan's race. He needs these two to fight. Maybe to get into an incident that could cause some trouble. Raw is defending this position for his life right now, with Philip Scott on the rear tailgate. Doesn't quite get the best off corner. Neither of them have that good of a run down off turn number 5. It's enough for Justin Raw to hold on for the time being. Gap to the leader still 8 seconds. Tristan is holding that firm right now after that unscheduled incident. Now Philip Scott trying to the inside of turn 8. It's not going to happen. Can't find a way around Justin Raw right now. It's going to be a drag race down towards turn number 1 again. Raw feels confident taking the race in line. The gap is 0.3 of a second down into turn number 1. There's 7 laps to go. Maher leads, is managing to fend these drivers off. They're all running 34s. Shot to the inside of turn number 2. Raw runs it around the outside, runs the momentum off the corner, holds on to 2nd position. My goodness. Alex Kerfan in the catbird seat for this position right now. Both of these drivers in the catbird seat if Tristan Maher can't make it to the end. But Maher does have clean track ahead. The next driver on the racetrack would be Gabe Tizola, who is still on the lead lap and still running great lap times for 5th position. It's in the hands of Tristan right now, and it's likely that it's going to be 2nd place, the battle between these two. That truck in the back is Cody McCorkle, is 1 lap down. Kerfan's 9 seconds behind this duo. And Justin Raw defending every single corner he can from Philip Scott. Scott closed more than a second a lap when it was clean air. But we always say it's a cliche for a reason. Catching's one thing, passing is another, and especially at a street course, it is so difficult to get that move done. I'm also wondering how the incident points are looking, especially for Philip Scott. We saw those incidents in the early phase of the race. We saw the contact with Von Druska as well a few laps ago. I don't know what Scott has to play with here before potentially putting a drive-through penalty that could bring Alex Kerfman back onto the podium. So Scott might have to do this one clean. He's going to get into the rear bumper of Justin Roth, though. The gap was almost open on the outside. Roth kept the shoulder and keeps the track position down through turn 4 into turn number 5. And it's about who can be first on the throttle down the long straightaway down towards turn number 6. It'll be 5 laps to go at the line. Raw defensive into turn 7. Lots up. Contact with Philip Scott. It looks like both trucks make it through without any additional damage. Of course, both trucks wounded from the walls of a very tight street circuit. They can continue their fight. Scott getting closer and closer to the end of the patience right now. Raw defends again into turn number 12, moves back to the racing line, opening up the entry. It is 5 laps to go as Tristan Maher enters turn number 1. These two drivers squirming on the throttle down towards turn 1 now. And Justin Roth just holding Philip Scott within a couple of tenths. He's been there for laps and laps now. He's got to make it around 5 more times with the widest Chevrolet I have seen in a long time. Except for, I guess, Bailey was a Ford, so Bailey's Ford is a bit wider in turn 4, but in terms of Chevrolets, this is impressive. Tristan Maher's lost a couple seconds as well. Had a bad run through. The gap's falling. 6.2 seconds right now. I'm not seeing an incident for Tristan Maher, but clearly some pace has been lost. Last time by, the lap times were matching Roth and Scott. This could be a battle for the race lead. It might not be over yet. Tristan is wounded. Tristan is limping the number 17 truck home. But he's got to keep pace. He's got to keep these two far enough away that they don't become a factor. There's a big loss of time. It seems to be stabilizing again at about 6 seconds. It's going to be 4 laps to go. And again, the more that these two fight between themselves, the more that Roth has to defend, the easier the task becomes for Tristan, as that's Cody McCorkle into the wall in the background. We've got to try and hold off Fidel Fabian for 7th place. And Maher is definitely losing time. That was 3 seconds last lap between Tristan Maher and Justin Roth. It doesn't seem to be consistent time loss. It seems to be in segments. They're fighting side by side now for the 2nd position. Can Scott be later on the brakes into turn number 6? Roth is going to sweep the outside to now have the inside for turn 7, but Scott has the nose ahead. Can he clear? Justin Roth going to try and keep the focus. Scott goes into the wall on the outside. It's going to turn Justin Roth, and they're going to be parked up for 2nd place. Scott is going to make sure to redress that position. Roth's stuck. Roth's stuck in the barrier. And that is going to have to be a tow for Justin Roth. Philip Scott is out of contention. Fidel Fabian is going to try and give a helping hand. And gets Justin Roth free. Roth is going to be able to continue for the podium. Alex Kerfen flew by to pick up second place. And now the gap for Tristan Maher is 15 seconds. Philip Scott, it looks like down on pit lane. May have disconnected. Could be day done for the number 9. What on earth just happened? And there's damage. There's clearly damage on Justin Rourke's truck. He's got 24 seconds back to Gabe Tizola. He's got to hold on to it. No, it's not a meatball. The truck is not being called down to pit lane. But it is not looking happy. He's got to be so careful to bring this home. I'm shocked. I mean, incredible move from the teammate Fidel Fabian to get the truck unwedged from that concrete barrier. And I mean, we've got to look back at this incident because this was crucial. It's a slide to lock up from Justin Rourke, first of all, but actually gets it turned around and in on the wall. Scott runs wide, there's a bit too much room, gets into the wall, tries to get it unstuck, I'm gonna say, generously, and spins around Justin Rourke and blocks the track, ultimately. Scott does wait for Justin Rourke to try and get it going again, but it's such a tight section of racetrack. He first noses it in, then reverses it. You see Scott is leaving room. I don't think that was intentional. But then he just gets wedged. As the tailgate gets into the wall, it's stuck. There you see Alex Kerfen make the move second place, just around the outside. Philip Scott, I'm not sure exactly what happened to Philip Scott, but he's out of the race right now. Toes it back to pit lane. And I mean, Fidel Fabian, the hero. This is just remarkable. One lap down, running in 7th place right now. And a nice gentle tap to the door, made sure to not break the wheels. And gets Justin Rourke going once again. Without any intervention from the tow truck. My goodness. This has been one of the most chaotic races in BSR history. I really don't know what to say. But Tristan Maher, who has led pretty much all day long, does take the white flag. He's wounded, he's limping this home. But he's got almost no pressure behind. 4 trucks on the lead lap. Kerfen is 16 seconds behind, was expecting a 4th place finish, and is suddenly now looking at 2nd place and a podium. Justin Rourke was in a fight with Philip Scott for that 2nd position, is going to have to settle for 3rd, but was very nearly out of contention entirely. But it has been a truly dominant performance from the number 17 truck. I believe it is going to count as a Grand Slam. Took the pole position, did lose the lead on lap 1, but managed to take it back before the lap ended. And so lead lap 1 has led, I believe, every single lap since then. And not just that, has the fastest lap, a 1:30.6 in race trim. He's not going to find that pace this time by. Those tyres are shot. He's been through the walls. He's been into the door of Bailey Thompson down at turn number 4. But he's done just enough, and I think he's already celebrating a little bit. Bringing it through the final corner one last time. And it will be the number 17 of Tristan Maher, who takes home his first race win of the season here on the streets of Chicago. And the celebrations starting nice and early for Tristan. It'll beat Alex Kerfen with a miracle 2nd place after running 4th until the very end of the running. maybe even more of a miracle, is Justin Rort's number 76 truck. It'll need to be written off after this race, but it does not matter because he is going to bring it home for the final spot on the podium. With help from Fidel Fabian, most importantly, to get it across the line. And Gabe Cazzola, who has been a quiet force coming through. A great run, started in 9th place and has just been consistently coming through. Nice clean celebration through the final corner as well. And the final truck on the lead lap will come home in 4th place. But it is going to be Tristan Maher burning it down on the backstretch. With congratulations from Alex Kerfen. The number 17 truck is your race winner for tonight. I think Tristan might be here for a while. While the celebrations continue, let's have a look at your final running order here in the 988 Suicide Awareness GP here on the streets of Chicago. It is number 17 winning by 17 seconds. It looked easy until it wasn't, but he brings it home, I believe, with the Grand Slam. I'll get that confirmed in just a moment's time. Alex Kerfen comes home in 2nd place after slicing through the battle for 2nd in the final few laps. Justin Rort limps it home in 3rd, and Gabe Cazzola, up 5 positions, will finish in 4th place. Your last truck on the lead lap. Michael Walls will come home in 5th place, 1 lap down, with Tony McCorkle in 6th. Fidel Fabian, crucial to the storyline for the podium, himself comes home in 7th place, last truck, 1 lap down and in major contention. Philip Scott comes home in 8th place after that lap 47 incident with Justin Rort, retired following that. Stephen Thornton brought it home in 9th place, 5 laps down, but did come across the checker. And then Bailey Thompson, nearly a thorn in Tristan Maher's side. It all works out in the end. Another retirement, but does hold on for 10th place in the classification. The rest of your retirement list: Aaron von Druska, also caught up in incidents down at turn number 7, and then William Kempf, Cameron Caldwell, Levi Poland, and Zach Probst retiring before the first stage completes. Matthew Stott and Zachary Ware not able to take the race start. An attrition-filled race and a drama-filled race here in Chicago. Now, we normally, at least I normally go in order from first place down to third, but we do have our third place finisher in the booth right now, and I am fascinated to know what Justin Rort has to say about this one. So we're going to hop in and go in reverse order this time. Justin, I mean, what do we even say about that race? You qualified on the front row, took the lead very, very briefly, but then were running most of the day just in second place, took behind Tristan Maher, and then caught up by Philip Scott near the end. Talk us through, first of all, that defense and then that incident that Fidel was able to save you from.
I never really looked at it. I'm pretty sure I was trying to we were catching Tristan. I didn't know how bad, if he had damage. I knew he had some damage. I didn't know how bad it was, but we were starting to catch him like more and more every lap. So, I mean, I wasn't going to give that spot up knowing I was racing for a win, even though he was a lot faster. And I knew I didn't want to make contact with him really, because that's I don't want to race like that, but I wanted to make him uncomfortable, and he chose to go around the outside in the shortest corner of the racetrack, and I guess he bounced off the wall into my left rear and spun me. I don't even know, like, if that was on purpose because he was mad because I forced him into the wall a little bit, or if his wheel was broken and he just bounced off of it. I don't know. Then he left. That was really just a weird thing, but thank God I had a teammate coming around the corner. Gabe was yelling at him not to, because Gabe wanted the podium. I was thankful for Fabian because he was trying to fight for 6th with Cody there. So yeah, really thankful for him, and hopefully one of these days he'll get his he'll put a full race together at one of these road courses. He's been pretty quick at them this year, so yeah, hopefully his run to the playoffs continues, and yeah, that's all I got for that.
All right, well, holding on for a third place finish. Hard fought, but well deserved. Is there anything you want to say to the fans at home? Now would be the time.
Yeah, shout out Tristan and Cam and all of them that were in the practice session earlier. We spent quite a bit of time just putting laps in, and that helped me so much, because I've never been even close to those guys on the road courses, but this track that I feel like suits me better, just because the walls are so close. I guess it's easier to gauge corners and everything, and it did bite me in the butt a little bit. I got damaged with quite a couple laps to go, but yeah, shout out to them for hosting that practice. Shout out Tristan on the win. He really pushed me this weekend. So Gabe, Micah, Fabian, of course, you up there in the booth, and Jurg and Steven over at Nitro.
All right, well, thank you so much for talking to us, and hopefully we'll see you again next time.
Thank you.
That was your third place finisher, Justin Rort. Let's now have a quick word with our surprise second place finisher here in the number 30, Alex Kerfen. Welcome to the booth, and you had a strong run going all day. It looked likely that you were going to end up on the podium, and then Philip Scott charged by after an undercut there in the pit cycle, but in the end ended up being the key to you flying through and picking up second place. Talk us through, first of all, that first run stint with Philip, but then also just the reaction coming around the corner and seeing the calamity ahead at turn 7.
Yeah, that was quite the race. I honestly didn't expect to have the speed I had this race. It honestly surprised me out of the gate that I was able to keep up so well initially with Tristan and Justin, but they were able to just tire save better than me, and that's something I need to work on. It's a weakness of mine for sure. But Philip was also able to save tires better than me and was charging at me towards the end of the first, the first stint. So I decided, try to let him go, or try to go a few extra laps and let him pit earlier than me to try to get the tire advantage. But that didn't really work because his pace was just outright a lot better than mine. So the hope there was just to have him and Justin battle it out, and maybe hopefully something happened to them. And it happened. It's hard to battle lap after lap here and not have something happen. So I played my cards right. Unfortunately, Tristan also had something happen to him, but luckily he didn't get a meatball flag or anything. So I thought I was going to catch him for a second and maybe steal a win, but that didn't happen. P2, though, is great. I love it.
Yeah, that was one of the wildest sort of final 10 laps I think I've ever seen. In the end, you are the big beneficiary, moving up into a well-deserved second place finish after keeping it clean through all the carnage. If there's anything you want to say to the fans at home, now would be the time.
Yeah, thanks to everyone who watches and supports the league. It's, it feels like the league might be struggling sometimes, but we try our hardest here. And it's cool that people still like to watch, and like to thank my friends and family and thank all my sponsors, Corwell Health, the Grid Network, C2 Graphics, Kerfans Market. I'd like to thank my teammates. They're awesome. Even though we didn't have quite the show up here today, still a fun race and a good broadcast. Thank you.
Thank you so much for putting on our show, and we'll see you next time.
Oh yeah.
That was Alex Kerfan, your second place finisher here tonight. And now there's only one man left to speak to. Driver of the number 17 Pratt Miller Chevrolet, your race winner here at Chicago, Tristan Maher. Now, Tristan, welcome to the booth. First of all, congratulations on the win. I guess the livery should suggest a strength on the road courses, but you were definitely put under some pressure a couple of times here. First of all, lap number 1, where you had to fight your way back through on Justin Raw. And then, of course, that incident towards the end that you were able to bring it home from. Talk us through the prep that went into this, and also how your nerves were through those moments, and whether you thought the race was ever really in doubt from either of those.
Well, to be honest, like as far as prep, why I hadn't really drove any real laps until today. Cam put up a practice session, and I did drive a lot of laps in that practice session. Somewhere near 100. I don't know where it is exactly, but I drove a good amount in the practice session. And, I knew I had pace. Obviously, I think, I don't know. I think, like, I really was worried about Justin and Cam, too. I think Cam had me on the long run. Basically, I just knew that qualifying pole was going to be the best case scenario for me. Like it's the spot where this track is hard to pass at, and I really needed to just like not have to deal with anything and just hopefully, run my race by myself for the most part. And that's kind of what happened a little bit after Justin got in front of me on the first lap, and I was a little worried at that point because Justin definitely had pace with me for sure. Me and him, it was just going to be all about who could save their tires better and go fast at the same time, So luckily I was able to get around Justin just before the end of lap 1 and ran my race from there.
Yeah, able to keep the Grand Slam alive, of course, by retaking the lead by the end of the lap. But it was very much at risk towards the end of the race. Talk us through, first of all, the incident that you did have with Bailey there coming through turn number 4, and then how the truck was to drive from there to the checkered flag, because we saw the pace was not comfortable there, but you were able to fend off the group behind until they had their incident.
Yeah. I don't really know. I don't really know what happened. I mean, I was just doing normal things. I was running my race by myself. I was watching the relative. You know, I was hoping that they were going to battle it out because that was going to take some more pressure off me. And I had a good gap. Luckily, I had a good gap. But yeah, next thing I know, I mean, I'm just going through one of the fastest corners on the track. I think the fastest corner on the track, and all of a sudden there's a truck just hit the wall, blocking the track. And I mean, there's nothing I could have done. I just I just saw the truck and hit it. That's all I could do. Afterwards, in the moment, I was like, I wasn't even thinking. I was like, okay, just got to get back going. Hopefully everything's okay. I got to shout out Micah. I got to shout out Micah Walls actually for not murdering me when he came through after that happened. Anyways, got back going. My spotter's telling me all the things. I got wheel damage, gonna have less grip. You got aero damage, all this stuff. So I'm real worried. Basically the truck drove okay. The wheel was off center a little bit, but the biggest problem after that happened is that I couldn't turn left very well. So luckily, I mean, my biggest downsides was turn one and then the turn coming down the back stretch were pretty bad for me after that happened. But luckily I was able to hold on. The turning the other way, it was completely fine. I don't know why it was just literally turning left was super tight after that. So I had to go a lot slower through like turn one in those corners. But yeah, I mean, I was worried. They were catching me, Philip and Justin. Then they had an incident, just a little incident, and that made it even. That took more pressure off. I mean, things had to go right. I think they would have got me by the end. If they weren't battling, but luckily, I think it would have been a close race if they didn't wreck. Yeah.
Yeah, holding on. It didn't look easy. You really, really did have to earn that one. But it is, at the end of the day, not only your first win of the season, but also a perfect race Grand Slam with the fastest lap, of course, as well. So congratulations on that one. If there's anything you want to say to the fans at home, now would be the time.
Yeah, I just want to thank my team, all the guys that hang out in the Discord and practice and run laps together and talk and have a good time. You especially for broadcasting the race. If you guys are interested, the Indy 6-hour is tomorrow for IMSA. Have a watch at that. Number 3 Corvettes lead championship points right now. Yeah, I think that's all I got. Shout out to Justin and Alex and everybody who raced. Shout out for finishing and doing it. It's tough. This is a tough track.
Absolutely. Well, we'll hope that this is a good luck charm for the Pratt Miller team tomorrow. Congratulations, Joe. Enjoy the race win.
Thank you.
And with that, our coverage here at Chicago will come to a close. It has been a fantastic, drama-filled evening here on the Grant Park circuit. If you want to see more road stock racing, you do not have to go far at all. Thursday night with the Road and Plate Series. Round 3 will be at Monza in the ARC cars with no first chicane. So it'll be a long run down to Curva Grande in those ARC machines. You're going to want to see the spectacle of that. If you want to see more truck action, you're going to want to stick here because there are only 2 more weeks until the regular season ends and we lock in our playoff field. Next time out, we go short track racing once again over at North Wilkesboro for 200 laps on the brand new scan of that renovated circuit. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So be sure to join us for either of those broadcasts next week. We'll have Josh Coppenall back on the helm for those as well. So from everyone here at JCTV, I have been Olivia Hayward, bringing you the coverage of the 988 Suicide Awareness GP here in the streets of Chicago. I will say thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.